In this video, we'll be comparing trigonometric function values. This is really just an extension of our previous discussion on ranges of trigonometric functions. Let's consider an angle theta increasing in measure from near 0 degrees towards 90 degrees. Note the value of r remains the same. We've seen this diagram before. We notice as theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees, the length of side y increases. Right, so we talked about this before, having these different triangles at our different theta values, all having the same r value, but we can see looking at these triangles that the height of the triangle changes, and that's the y value. And we see that the height is getting, taller, so our y value is increasing. Well, since sine of theta is equal to y divided by r, or our opposite side divided by our hypotenuse, the numerator increases as theta gets larger, while the hypotenuse, the r value, is staying the same. Therefore, the value of sine of theta increases as the measure of theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees. Well, next we want to compare the x side. So if we're looking at the bottom side now of these angles, we see that the size of the triangle on the bottom gets smaller. So the length of our side x decreases. Cosine of theta is equal to x over r, our adjacent side over our hypotenuse. And what's happening is the numerator is decreasing as theta gets larger, while the hypotenuse stays the same. Therefore, the value of cosine of theta decreases as the measure of theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees. Okay, tangent, right? So as theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees, the y side got larger and the x side got smaller. Tangent is y over x, so our numerator is getting larger while our denominator is getting smaller, so the overall value of that fraction is getting larger. The value of tangent of theta is increasing as the measure of theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees. Now, all these statements are only true for going from 0 to 90 degrees. We'll see something different as our angle increases from 90 to 180 degrees. All right, well, we're just going to use those facts that we came up with about how sine, cosine, and tangent increase and decrease to determine whether each statement is true or false. So this is saying that tangent of 28 degrees is less than or equal to tangent of 40 degrees. Notice that our angle got larger. So this is theta increasing. And for tangent, it says that the value of tangent increases as the measure of theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees. So tangent of a bigger number should be larger. So this is a true statement. Our next inequality says cosine of 28 degrees is less than sine of 28 degrees. Well, it can be difficult to compare two different trig functions, so I would rewrite either sine in terms of cosine or cosine in terms of sine using our co-function identities, and then we can compare the same trig function, because nothing in these boxes up here says something about sine and cosine at the same time. So I think I'll turn cosine into sine. Remember, to turn it into the cofunction, which is going to be sine, we need the complementary argument. So we're going to do 90 minus 28. This is a 62. All right, so now it's saying that the larger angle has the smaller sine value. Let's see if that's true. Looking at our statement, it says that the value of sine increases as theta increases from 0 to 90 degrees. So the larger angle should have an increased sine, should be the bigger one. So this is false.